Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Lords of Power version of Mer-Man, the Ocean Warlord from the Masters of the Universe Origins line from Mattel. If you're not familiar with the whole Lords of Power thing, first off I would definitely suggest watching the Toys That Made Us episode for Masters of the Universe, because it's just a good time, but also it goes over all this. But real quick summary, Lords of Power was kind of the original working title for Masters of the Universe, and then they were asked to change it kind of at the last minute. But when they did the original concept pitch, they had 5 characters. I believe it was He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman, Mer-Man, and Man-at-Arms. And they all had kind of slightly different designs. And then you just kind of through the design process, things get reworked. And then by the time it came out as Masters of the Universe, we got the designs that we know today. So these were kind of the original kind of working designs. But I have to say, to me, this just looks like 2000X Mer-Man. The Mer-Man from the 2000X show must have been heavily influenced by the original design, because I think this looks so much like the 2000X Mer-Man. And if we spin around to the back here, you can see that we are getting a 2000X version of Evelyn in the same wave. So I feel like that's not a coincidence. You can just kind of say you're starting off your 2000X Origins collection here. But basically, this is the rest of Wave 5 here. Faker, Fisto, Evelyn, and Mer-Man. And then you have, of course, the accessories and just showing off the articulation. Then we have some pretty cool artwork here at the top. Let me pan the camera up so we can take a look at that. I believe he's fighting Teela there. The outfit looks like Teela, but the head kind of looks like Adora, so I'm not really sure. But again, that kind of almost looks like the 2000X design of Teela, so maybe, again, it's not a coincidence. But in any case, pretty cool packaging. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of the box here, and we're going to take a closer look. So here is Mer-Man out of the packaging. I really like him a lot. I love the head sculpt. Something about the bulging eyes and the goofy, toothy grin really just does it for me. I love it. He's just so fun. I really like the design of this harness piece. I love the spikes on the collar around his neck. The one thing that bums me out here is you got a bunch of different shades of yellow going on here. So for the mask, the harness, and the kind of belt area, it's all this kind of nice goldenrod, which really goes with the shade of green that they chose. It's like a bluish turquoise teal green. But then you got this really bright yellow here for the arms and the hands and the boots. And then you have even a third shade of yellow here for the sword. So I don't know what that's about. I feel like this is kind of the same shade of yellow as the original toy. And most likely this is just completely pulled from the first release of Mer-Man in this line. And that's why it's a different color. And then they decided to go for a little bit more gold for this. I just don't know why these got painted yellow. Like really bright yellow. Why did they didn't just go with... I'm assuming because these are molded pieces and this is painted over. You can tell, like the yellow, the hands are definitely molded in yellow. But for these pieces here, you can tell they just molded the whole arm in this kind of teal color. And then they had to paint the yellow over top. So maybe this color didn't lend itself as well. They needed something brighter to paint over the green. I'm just guessing here. I really don't know that. That's just my guess. But anyway, articulation-wise, pretty much what you'd expect. So you have a nice ball joint here. You can look down, you can look up, you can kind of tilt side to side, you can certainly look side to side. You have a hinge here in the shoulder as well as a rotation. You have a hinge and a rotation in the elbow. You have a hinge here in the wrist as well as a rotation. Waist rotation there. You can kick out to the side pretty far. You can kick forward decently far. Back not so much because the butt flap stops it. Nothing in terms of thigh swivel. All the articulations just kind of in the hip there. But you do have a 90 degree here in the knee as well as a rotation in the knee. You do have a boot swivel as well. And then you have a hinge and a rocker in the ankle. So pretty good amount of articulation. I really like the figure a lot. I wish there was consistent shades of yellow, but other than that, I think he's pretty cool. Now I want to go ahead and bring in... This is the first release Mer-Man, and you can see how this sword is kind of more in keeping with the color of the plastic on his chest, which is why I really think that they just pulled it from this guy and packed it in with this guy, and that's why it's a different shade of yellow. But I'm really not sure why the boots and the hands are that bright shade of yellow. But you can definitely see the difference. I mean, this is really... You could almost say these are two different characters. I've always thought that this head looks more like a cat than it does a fish person. This one definitely says more fish person to me. But I mean, I still love the classic design because, of course, it's classic and very nostalgic, and I think that's fun. But when they kind of redid him as Stinkor, I always thought that made a little bit more sense. Not that Stinkor's not a cat either, but I feel like you're getting closer. I'm surprised they never made some kind of cat man with this head because it definitely just looks like a cat to me. I do also think that painting the hands and the boots just lends a little bit more color because you really just have a lot of the teal over here. It's really just the harness and the head, and after that it's all just the same color. Again, I do still like the classic design, but I think I do kind of prefer this a little bit more just because you have a lot more color all over the figure, and that just kind of makes him pop a little bit more. Again, I wish it was a consistent coloring, but still, like I said, you could almost just pretend they're two different Mer people. You could just kind of build out a Mer army here. It's hard to believe that they're the same character. They look very, very different. But still, very, very cool. I like them quite a bit. Let's see. I did want to go over the mini comic real quick. I didn't want to forget to do that. So it does come with a little mini comic here, Sucker Punch. On the back here, it shows all the figures for Wave 5. And then, of course, He-Man and Skeletor, because they're basically included in every wave, because they want to make sure that new kids coming in or collectors alike can get the two most iconic characters. But I'm just going to go through this real quick. So basically, He-Man shows up driving a land shark, and, you know, Fisto's not falling for it. And then he gets captured, and then eventually he figures it out. It is Faker in disguise, so he gives him a wallop. And then you get Mer-Man, and now this is, I believe, the old design of Mer-Man and Evil Lyn, even though they're both in this wave. And then it looks like Skeletor's got an army of fakers, and that's really it. So it's a pretty short one, but it's cool. I like that they include these mini comics as a reference to the original figures. I think that's really fun. So glad that that's included. And I believe everyone in this wave is going to have that same one. This is the first one I've opened from Wave 5, but I believe that they're all going to have the same, as that's kind of what's been going on. They have one new comic per wave. But yeah, this guy's great. I definitely recommend picking him up. If you have, you know, just want a new design for Mer-Man, or even if you want to kind of just get it and pretend it's the 2000X Mer-Man, because I really do feel like it looks pretty similar to that, especially in the head. He came with a staff, like a trident. I do kind of wish this guy came with a trident as opposed to the sword, but I get it. It's easier just to pull this off the first Mer-Man and just pack it in with this guy, but I would have loved for him to come with a trident, because that would have kind of completed the 2000X aesthetic. Again, I know this isn't supposed to be the 2000X, but I feel like it almost kind of doubles, so you kind of get some extra value out of it in that respect. But yeah, he's a fun figure. Definitely recommend checking him out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.